was doing some research earlier. Not research. I typed your name in the Google box and clicked on Wikipedia, and July of 2007. Most of you was pretty out there in the world. I saw.
Oh, I know where you're going. Wow.
You don't have
it
to
always comes back. That's what I told my little girl. I said, if you ever do anything, that you're going to eternally regret, it will never go away.
You do regret it, huh? Oh, I thought we were done.
I thought, that's it.
That was it.
That's what we came
That's
to.
what we
I'm not
came here
done.
to
I
do.
hadn't even got started yet.
Yeah. No, that's what we kind of built this for was the guys can just kind of come down here and just jam, and have a spot to just get away. And Jacob, when he moved down here from Nashville, my spare bedroom had all his instruments. I looked at Rita. I said, "We got to build something for all this."
Man, this is perfect.
It really turned out.
And I mean, you got your little monitors set up over there, and I know those monitors well, so this place probably sounds really good.
It's
when we get together and to rehearse, sometimes we'll spend like a whole hour of rehearsal time just jamming.
Mm-hmm.
And when that happens, I always write something amazing out of whatever we get. We'll get on something, And I told the guys this last time. I said, we're going to start doing this just for the jam.
right.
And everybody, I mean, nowadays it's not like it used to be for me anyway. I don't get much as far as outside cuts are concerned, and I just mostly record my own music, and so I don't care if there's 15 writers on the song.
Right.
And I told the guys, I said, if we get together like this and we create something really incredible, which we've already done, I said, everybody, I came in the last time and I had this song. It's almost finished, and I mean, I've written the whole thing, but I asked them, I said, I want to play this for y'all and get your professional interpretation. And we started jamming on this thing. It's a hit.
Nice.
It is a hit, and it's kind of, so I'm making a Christian album right now. I've never done it before, and of something I've kind of always wanted to do. My mother, that was her dream, was for me to do that, and she got gone before I got it done. So that has inspired me a whole lot, and so I'm writing this thing called The Good Life, and it's just all it's come on and get your good life on, and the way this thing feels once the guys, I already had in my mind like a song from the past that it reminded me of, and they started jamming, and every one of them started talking about that song, and I was like, look at this, and so it's really cool.
That's
so,
awesome.
That's what happens though, man. You get together with good players.
I love doing that. I mean, my friends, we probably do it. We try to do it as much as we can, but it's so fun to get 3 or 4 of my friends just down here with instruments and just jam.
Man, our favorite songs, our favorite records, that's how they were written.
I'm sure. Yeah,
it is.
Right.
I mean, you take, Leonard Skinner. They'd throw them in the studio. They'd smoke weed and drink whiskey and stay for a month.
Right.
Same with the Allman Brothers over at Fame and Muscle Shoals, go in there and just camp out, and I mean, just be throwing down. But when they came out of there was some amazing
music.
Yeah,
I mean,
and we all love it. It's the proof's in the pudding.
No doubt.
That's been the coolest moments is after the show. All the guys, whoever, whether it's been, and a lot of them are the regional Texas guys that we follow and listen to, and I mean the Jody Booths and the Jason Allen, Jake Worthington, and guys like that, and they'll come down here, and inevitably, that, man, let me pick that up, and they'll start playing it, and then they pick up this, and I want to play that one, I want to play, and they're plugging in, and they sit down for 3 hours, but then by the time you get through. One, you've been exposed to some way cool music because they're going, hey, you heard so-and-so, and you're pulling that up on the monitors and putting it through.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody's kind of sitting there, sitting around drinking beer, and it's just been, it's been really neat to, and those guys just go, man, I want to come back next week. Let's get together and let's just get together and just come in here and do this again.
Yes.
And get pen and paper and just see, because they start throwing stuff back and forth at each other in licks.
Well, you don't, like we started rehearsing out at my tour manager's house, just rehearsing in his garage.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, he has to pretty much run the neighbors off. They come from every direction and come when they hear us playing. Here they come, which we don't care. We're like, the only thing negative about that would be if you are kind of creating something and everybody on every corner is a musician or a songwriter there, and so you got to be careful.
Right.
But or your great creation will be out on the radio about
7 minutes later.
You know how it is.
Yeah.
So,
you
but
can
other
out
than
the
that,
Tupperware later on this evening and hear it on somebody's YouTube channel.
Yeah, that's right.
we did the same thing. We said, dudes, we need to start making this a regular thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Because so many ideas were flying around. I was like, listen to this. It's like a music think tank. So how could you not, man? Those players of mine, I mean, they're not young farts. They're seasoned guys that have been out there with all kinds of different artists, and they're just amazing musicians. And when they start playing, like we got on that groove. This song, let me see that guitar. Or this one's okay.
No, I'll use this one.
I don't even know right now if it'll
That's all right.
it'll come back to me, but that groove is kind of like, let's see. See, when I'm down, let's see, times are hard, but I'm feeling alright. When I'm down, I just look to the light. Now, people, it's darkest just before the dawn. You gotta rise above it and get your good life on. You know, I showing those guys that.
Yeah.
And Tom starts playing the drums. I got 2 strong arms I can help.
Yeah.
You know that song?
No, I don't, but I want to hear
that
it.
old classic song, I Can Help. And they all started just throwing down. They said, man, and I played them the 2 verses and chorus that I had, and they were like, we need to finish that whole production because it starts off little and grows.
Sure.
So
it's got a very Southern gospel, type feel to it.
Well, and it's kind of I don't write poppy stuff, but it's got a little bit of that in it, and it'd be something that we can make a really cool record with. I might just take the guys in.
Why
That'd
not?
be so fun. We cut all of the big hits on the Greatest Hits project. That's them playing on all that stuff. We cut 10 or 11 tracks of one.
When you did the record where you re-recorded all of your hits, that's the one you're talking about. I really like that one. I like the different take on those songs.
Thank you.
All of those songs are so great. I was telling Tony, it's so funny because all the songs like When You Need My Love, those were very popular when I was in high school.
Sure.
And so I rode around listening like that guitar lick on.
He says I grew up on your music.
Oh,
Off a Beautiful Life.
Off a Beautiful Life. I sat there for weeks and months trying to get that lick, that intro lick.
Can I
down.
tell you something?
Yeah.
I can't. Of course, Mark will, wear the lick out tonight, and I'll just chunk.
Yeah.
I can't play that and sing at the same time.
It's tough.
And you know who else? So we've been doing this country rewind tour thing.
Yeah, with Brian White is on it
and
too.
Wade Hayes. Or sometimes it's Andy Griggs. But anyway, so Wade was out with us one night, and they were back. They were kind of helping me with that song because when I just do it by myself, it's pretty mundane. I mean, because that guitar lick is the whole song.
It does
That's
make
the signature of the whole song.
For sure.
And I said, wait, I can't do it. I can't play that. I can play it, but I can't play it and sing at the same time. And he goes, without hesitation, he goes, I don't know anybody that could.
Yeah.
He said it's got you roped in.
It does.
But he said it's good because of that.
Right.
But
cadence has to be so steady. If you get off a little bit, it just doesn't sound right.
It's the weirdest thing to try to do that song without the drummer.
Yeah,
man, it's hard acoustically.
I would assume so.
And I mean, used to, I just wouldn't do it.
Yeah.
But now, if I got somebody that can play that lick,
sure.
And kind of, so Mark is incredible because he started out on drums.
Did he?
He played drums till he was about 13 or 14 years old. So when he just lays back, even on, like, I'm so used to having guitar players that are so stoked up that they usually are on top of everything.
Right.
And he is just the opposite, man. He is so laid back, and I'm like, oh, that sounded so good. You know, it's like, because a singer, when you come to those choruses, you have a tendency to start speeding up anyway.
Yeah.
And as you get older, you relax and you realize, no, that's not the right thing to do. You just need to lay it back in there. And when you got a guitar player that's just, I mean, he'll pull back on the drummer sometimes.
Really?
And it's like, wow, I felt that.
That's really good advice.
It's very good.
I like that advice. I mean, that's because that is something as a singer. I mean, I notice. I think it takes doing it over and over and over again. But the less you strain, the more you're able to actually sing those notes correctly. And,
right.
And say
your phrasing will be like your records or your recordings.
Right.
You know,
makes a huge
it's
difference.
so weird because the studio musicians are doing that. I mean, it's thought through, but they don't have to think about it because they know, oh, if we really hold this back right here, it'll be really cool.
Mm-hmm.
They're listening to the singer. Trust me, they may not have a lot of you in there, but they're listening to you because they're thinking, oh, that phrase right there would be good. And they play every part of the song for that kind of stuff. You have no idea till you get to the vocalizing time and you go, oh man, that just kind of really lays back right there. Man, there was years that went by that I didn't even know what was going on. And now, you know, after years and years and years of being out on the road, you feel it.
Mm-hmm.
You can tell when somebody's angst on stage, and you know, sometimes in the show I'll just walk over there and go, hey man, you all right? You know, and they'll be like, yeah, they know already.
Right.
Sure. Yeah.
They'll go, yeah, I'm sorry. I said, well, no, don't worry about it. Let's just chill and have fun, man. And then that usually, just does it, because they might, you never know, man. It might have been a bad phone call with the wife before you walked on stage.
Sure.
I have them.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, when you're on the road, I guess if you don't think about that, your life doesn't stop. You still talk to your wife every day, and
dude,
she still has a flat tire when you're gone, and all
and
that.
You
stuff.
feel worse about it then because you're freaking on the other side of the country.
You know, every now and then they'll have a really, really bad day, and they'll let you know that.
Yeah.
And then that really sucks.
Right.
It's like
there's nothing
compounds the whole thing and makes you think, okay, well, I knew that's what she was thinking, but she just said it.
So how many years have you been professionally touring?
Well, a lot of that is debatable because we had started to I call it the regional band, before I got the record deal. We started to get gigs and things that paid good money.
Mm-hmm.
It was not as much of a strain to not be working a regular job as it had been,
right?
And then I also had just a little bit of songwriting money coming in until I left Muscle Shoals and went to Nashville, and then I got a good check. I'd have to say 22, 23 years, but it could you could easily extend that by 10 and say, because you know what, man, I've been a weekend warrior since I was about 16, and I loved every minute of it. I mean, some of the guys that I got to spend time with and learn things from and hang out with back home where I'm from.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, guys that have made records, and just all kinds of different people. And it's, being around West Tennessee, you meet a ton of people from Mississippi, whether it be blues icons or then there's Muscle Shoals and all that.
Mm-hmm.
And then Memphis, man, it's all kind of, there's some real cool.
You were born in Memphis, correct?
Born there, yeah. But just, Dad would drive Mom over there. That was the only place close by that you could go get quality care for that kind of stuff. We didn't have a baby birthing area there anywhere near us. We're 2 hours from Memphis. I said to my dad a million times, how did you go 2 hours, when that, and he goes, without hesitation, he goes, well, your mom just held it, and he goes, she was like, she's tough. I mean, and he goes, well, she'd say, I think it's probably time. And, you hear those stories about having pulled over on the side of the road. He goes, nah, not your mom. She just held it in there.
Oh, my gosh. That's hilarious.
She was going to wait.
That's hilarious.
So Savannah is that your childhood home?
Well, It's
That's
the
where you're at
only
now,
town. I guess you'd have to call it the county seat because it's the only town really in the county. I mean, town. I mean, some people would argue that Counts up at Pickwick is a town, and I don't know what constitutes a town, but anyway, it's the biggest area with town in the county, and so I think of it as a lot of people say he's from Savannah. A lot of people know in the region know Pickwick more than Savannah because that's actually where I grew up in a little community called Pyburn.
Right.
But we live up on the plateau now between Savannah and Waynesboro. That's the high ground we call it. So our county is really cool. It goes from the Delta. We got the river that runs through the whole county. It goes from the Delta to what they call the ridges to the plateau.
Gotcha.
So we've got three different. It's beautiful.
And just like everything else, I'm sure it's kind of trying to make your way to the plateau.
Exactly.
Right.
The plateau is actually like part of the beginning of some of the foothills for the Appalachians and stuff like that. So, and that runs all along, the southern border of Tennessee, Georgia, and Alabama. That's northern for them. But so Savannah, if you just go due south of Savannah to Pickwick, it's about 12 or 15 miles. Well, Pickwick Lake is right where Mississippi, Alabama, and Tennessee all three come together. I always say that if you want to find me geographically, that's where we are, and that's a lot of redneck influence right there. You can't,
Gotcha.
You can't have.
So Tennessee River Run, I would
that.
assume, was about all of that area.
Absolutely,
yeah.
you
Pickwick
can.
Dam.
Some of the places that you saw in that video, you can sit in your boat and cast your bait into all three states.
Wow,
that's the truth.
I'll be there.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty neat.
Did you? I read somewhere that you dabbled in the restaurant business.
Oh yeah,
in Savannah.
We've had a couple of them.
You've had a couple of restaurants.
But the one that everybody knew about. Dabbling is a good way to put it. If you dabble a little bit, you find out a lot. No. Yeah. We had a restaurant called the Whirlybird Cafe. My first wife and I, and that place could have been a very big success.
Where was it at?
Right there in Savannah.
Okay.
Sitting right beside the Savannah High School.
Okay.
She was convinced that she couldn't jack her prices up any, that she had to have the same prices as everyone else in town. I said, no, you don't. I said, if your food is better.
Train coming through.
Yeah.
I love trains. I love that sound, man. That high lonesome.
Yeah, if you lived here, you probably wouldn't love it.
Though I've lived real close
I don't hear it much.
I was going to say, I lived real close to train tracks once in Nashville, and I lived real close to the airport. And when I first started living in Hermitage, and the planes were flying right over the house, I thought, oh, this ain't going to get it.
Yeah.
There's no way. Within 2 weeks, I didn't have a clue.
Right.
Yeah, I didn't know. We'd be in the kitchen talking, me and my roommate, and when the planes would come over, we'd just be like, the volume goes up, and you start realizing, damn, we're just living with it.
You're just naturally doing it. Yeah.
Your body figures it out.
So 99 was when you signed with DreamWorks?
Yes.
DreamWorks in 99. And then you had like 02 was the first number one?
Let's see.
Right?
That would have been When You Need My Love, correct? Was that your first number?
No, it was the first single.
Okay.
It was I think we had hit the top 10 on some chart. They didn't want to count it, so I guess it was an 11 for them. For me, I'm like, whatever chart. If it's 10, it's 10.
10 is 10.
I could care less. I don't care if it's not even a music chart. If it's on like the jukebox chart, I'm in. I love that song too.
That is a great song.
Yeah, I'll tell you a funny story about that song. So, Wynn and I wrote that song. We brought it in, and
Wynn Barble, right?
Yes.
He's written with a bunch of Texas guys.
Oh
too.
yeah, absolutely.
I've heard his name thrown around all the time.
He comes down just to do that. He's the real deal.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's what
he and I've had a bunch of hits together.
That's what I went through a little bit of them earlier, just kind of seeing the writers on them.
Yeah,
you've had a lot of good hits with them.
We wrote that song, and we wrote
Have You Forgotten?
I just came back from a war. We wrote Have You Forgotten?
Gotcha.
Bunch of stuff together. But we wrote that song, took it to the label. They were looking for something a little different than what the other stuff we were cutting. And that's a very, very country record. I don't know.
Yeah.
That first one was very traditional.
Oh, yeah.
So when you need my love, we call it when you need my nub. It's almost it's almost pop sounding compared to the rest of the which I had never really heard myself do anything like that, and I thought this is all right.
It fit. It wasn't.
Oh yeah, no, I don't think it was. But I did it first.
Sure.
Anyway, we played it for the label, and they said they hated it.
Really?
Wouldn't even. They said there's no chance of that even making the record, and I went okay. So we did. If you knew the whole story about how that whole project went down, I mean, they signed me for five or six songs that they were crazy about, and by the time all the heads and the gurus and the A&Rs and all those people got through with it, they didn't want any of those 5 songs on the album. And I said, I'll not be a part of this. Mm-hmm. I said, I was having fun when I met y'all. I'm going back to EMI to write songs. When you get your heart right, give me a call. If not, whatever, I don't care. Wow. I said, I'm going, because I was getting old and I was tired and I had so many things to hold up my career. Always a production deal of some kind or something coming along. Somebody said, I'm going to make you a star. You can be a big country singer. And I just got to the point where I thought, I want to write some songs and I want to make some money and have a life.
Right.
And so a long time passed.
Best
before.
of both worlds there.
Yeah. I wrote, that was the single.
Yeah, I like
too.
that one too. Yeah. I really do like that.
So yeah, it was, but when we took that song over there, they said no to it. We finished the album finally, had all the songs. They said, there's several singles here, but I don't know about a first single. So we came back in and played them When You Need My Love, and they went crazy over it.
There it
really?
is, yeah.
Same song, exactly, same song. And I said, okay. I said, let's cut it. I didn't open my mouth. When we finished the whole project, and that was getting ready to be released, I said, I got to tell y'all something. Instead of being a staff meeting one day. And I told the whole story, and Scott Borchetta was like, no, I don't think so. I said, okay, whatever. I said, y'all passed on it, said you hated it. It'd never be on the record. Now it's going to be my first single. And it did great.
That one ended up going to number 10.
Yeah, really, really close. It
10
was
or
in
11,
that,
I think.
Yeah. And
then it was, I Miss My Friend was the first number 1.
It was the first number 1. And I did you say 2002?
I think that one was 02. I think Awful Have You Forgotten was 03.
3.
And then Awful Beautiful Life was 04.
4 or 5.
4 or 5.
I know that we had a tough time getting past Have You Forgotten.
I can imagine.
People don't understand that a song of that magnitude
can
can be as big of a curse as it is a blessing.
Really?
I can tell you so many ways. Like, not many people know this. That song created so many obstacles for us as a young artist, really just getting started. Check this out, and it'll make perfect sense to you. So, I was getting on a lot of big tours and starting to, build a great foundation. That's what you have to do. You got to get in front of all those people, right? Yeah. And people say, "Man, I like that Darryl Worley," or they don't. But anyway, most of the time, if you got good songs and they're happening on the radio, and you got some big tours to get on, you'd almost pay to play because you can build that fan base.
Sure.
Well, Have You Forgotten comes along, and I've got a couple of hits under my belt, but really not like I was going and filling in all of Brad Paisley's spots on the Brooks and Dunn tour when he would have to go do his own thing because he was starting to happen too, and so he's getting a lot of solo dates and selling some tickets and what have you. So I go to do one of these fill-in dates, and Have You Forgotten is starting to really get. I mean, it's been at number 1 now for 2 or 3 weeks.
Wow.
And people all over the country are just, well, at this time, Brooks and Dunn has this big production during their show, and it's like all these stairwells come down out of the ceiling, and in every town they go to, they get different guys in the Marine Corps to come out and be a part of this. When they do Only in America, those guys are in their dress blues and stuff coming down, and it was bad to the bone. But we were playing this big, huge amphitheater in St. Louis one night, and back then I wouldn't even known this, and certainly wouldn't sit in front of a camera and tell this story. But now, who cares? It's like it is. It is what it is. We played we come out and do our whatever 15 or 20 minutes. We played 2 or 3 songs, and a couple things people recognize because they've heard it on the radio. Get some pretty good responses. When we kicked off "Have You Forgotten," it was almost like some people in the audience didn't even know that it was me, and they go, and man, the lighters came out. It was 30-something thousand people, and I mean the whole lawn. Look at the chills. The whole lawn above the amphitheater part. The lawn was just, and I mean, and the guys were all looking at me, and I'm looking back at them, and I'm like, I'm thinking, I'm gonna forget the words to this. Well, it just kind of took the life out of the room, man, and they saw it and they felt it. And then we got a call next week, and we were off of that.
Really?
Absolutely.
Wow.
And that happened several times until my manager and I sat down with our financial people and some other, like some people from some booking agencies, and they said the only thing you can do is just go headline your own deal. Mm-hmm. And so we had to start doing that real early. Because of that, we didn't build a real broad fan base at the time. We didn't have a broad, solid foundation. We didn't have real good branding as far as name and face recognition and things. It catapulted us into a whole different realm, and a lot of the stuff that needs to go to get done to get to where we were headed didn't get done.
Right. And
so that's some of the stuff that happened to my career that people really don't know about, but I've heard people say things like, well, I definitely knew your songs, and I knew your name, but I'm not sure I knew. And that's what happens when you get in a situation like that.
Because you're not getting that same notoriety. And I mean, I know for me, you're in that point. I mean, I was, you're about 10 years older than I am, but at that point, I was just kind of starting out with my married life, and I don't know, you're not going to concerts, you're not following that as much. And I remember when "Have You Forgotten" came out, that song will always be Darryl Worley for me.
Well,
and
for
then
most people.
after that, I think then you start going back and listening to everything else, and you're going, and then "Awful Beautiful Life" is coming out, and you're like, this is going to go, and you think that that's a great business move with something as big as "Have You Forgotten," but then there's so many people on the other side of it that it's such a somber, I guess you would say, Alan Jackson's "Where Were You?" Mm-hmm. I don't know if that's actually the title of the song, but
yeah, I know it's what I'm talking
about. But we're about the towers falling and everything. That can bring a show down.
Oh,
and I guess that's what you're saying, is that all of a sudden, the show is just blowing and going, and everybody's having a good time, and then it's like,
well, no. What I was referring to more than that, though, that song really doesn't do that. People get jacked up and want to throw their fist up in the air when you play "Have You Forgotten." What I was referring to is that when Brooks and Dunn came out and they did their big, American anthem, and the Marines came out, it was ever so slightly like somebody already done it that night.
Right.
Oh,
it took a little
of it. Okay.
It took a little of
I follow you now. Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
I thought you were saying
we didn't
you
have.
said it took the wind out of the sails. It took the wind out of the sails from the Brooks and Dunn side of it.
Right.
And they saw that.
You got to do your stuff on your own. I got you.
And man, that happened with us for like two or three different tours.
Okay.
We stopped getting as many. We were getting quite a few Alan Jackson dates, and it was fun, man. I mean, it was like for me, it was even cooler than the Brooks and Dunn stuff. Well, there were some things over there that were a little weird. Alan, he's just so quiet and withdrawn that you very seldom even see him.
He's like that all the time. He's
yes,
not real.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, let me tell you, a lot of people mistake that for him being rude or man. He is so shy and such an introvert.
Yeah.
that it's very, very difficult for him to like, reach out and communicate and that kind of stuff. I would say things to him going up and down the hallways or when I think, man, he must hate my guts or something, And one day I spoke to his tour manager. He goes, man, he's just different. He's just so
many guys in y'all's business are, and I think
he's for real that way.
Right.
There's some guys that pretend that so they don't have to deal with nobody.
Gotcha.
And that's the truth too.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then there's guys that make up stuff, ride around in boxes and crap like that. I mean, it's like,
right.
Whatever, dude. You know what? My dad said, you got a bunch of fans out there and you better not forget that they're paying your electric bill.
Right.
So I love interfacing with those people. Mm-hmm. Some of those guys that see this will probably say, well, if it was 10,000, you wouldn't feel that way. But whatever. But I mean, it's just the business is so full of little intricate curves and turns and things that you never really even think about it till you get in it and you have to encounter that.
Yeah.
I thought we had 2 or 3 singles. Not many people know we had 2 or 3 singles between "Have You Forgotten" and "Awful Beautiful Life."
Right.
Songs that just tanked because, they said, well, this ain't no "Have You Forgotten," and we're going, I'm not sure we have another "Have You Forgotten."
I don't know if there is another "Have You Forgotten."
But when we wrote "Awful Beautiful Life" and recorded it and it sounded like it did, I said,
yeah.
But we had a big hit. Let's see. No, I guess "Awful Beautiful Life" was the first off of that album, and it was a #1.
That's the one on the cover. There's a red car. Yeah.
Nova, yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So 2 or 3 weeks at #1, "Awful Beautiful Life" was, and then we released "If Something Should Happen" had another big old hit.
Mm-hmm.
It was big. It wasn't a #1, but had a couple of more things lined up, and 1 or 2 of those guys would have come on out of the top 5. We probably would have had a #1. We had some momentum at that time, and that song was really good. So
to have a #1 in that era, in my opinion, I mean, George is still putting out music. George Strait's still putting out music. Brooks and Dunn seems like they're throwing out a hit every 6 minutes. Yeah. Alan Jackson is still there.
Oh man!
I mean, you've got
the competition was
Singletary,
crazy.
Joe Nichols. Then you're getting into some of the Diamond Rio, and Alabama's still throwing out.
Keith
Ronnie
Urban's
Mills
up there.
Right.
He and I. Tracy Lawrence is back. He's having hits again. I mean, the guys that I ran into and bumped off of, and got trapped in the top 5. I was like, oh no, you got
right.
Alan Jackson's 2 or 3 times.
Yeah.
And I thought he'd go into #1. We'd be like, okay, he's camping out up there for a while.
He's gonna be there a little bit.
And you're just mounting up spins. It takes so many spins to keep maintaining that top 5 position. And there's no place to go. So then it becomes a money game and all this other music industry crap that you really don't want to know about.
Right. No,
Takes a little bit of the luster off of it.
Did you get your start when you said you were writing, when you were talking to them about shelving that song or saying no to it the first time? You said you would go back to writing. Were you writing prior? Did you have a publishing deal prior to getting your record deal? Or?
Oh yeah, for a long time. So my first, I had 2 guys in my hometown. Well, one of them was in North Mississippi there, but Larry Roser and Jimmy Powell down in a little studio in Burnsville, Mississippi. They signed me to a publishing deal real early on. I say early, not for a lot of guys, but they signed me to a publishing deal, and I was writing some of my earliest stuff. I mean, man, it was so traditional country that it would. If you heard some of those demos and stuff, but we made some really great demos down there. And then I got out of college, and I was working with a guy in a little lab down in North Alabama, and he was real big into music. And he came in one day, and he put a checkbook on the table. His name's Steve Bigby, and it had $2,000 in the account. He said, take a look at that, and it said Darryl Worley music account. And he said, I want you to. Because I'd played him a bunch of songs that I'd written. He said, we're going to find a place and we're going to record some of these songs. And I thought, how cool is that, Well, before you know it, we ain't working on this research stuff anymore. We're just doing music. And so that's how I wound up getting the songwriting deal at Fame If you guys haven't watched the Muscle Shoals documentary, it's just
haven't.
called Muscle Shoals. Man, if you like any of those documentaries, like if you can't take your eyes off of the Eagles, you've got to watch Muscle Shoals. It will blow your mind, and you get to meet the real Rick Hall, which was a treat. I mean, it was he was one of those music industry characters that you will never ever forget. And so I spent 5 years there writing for him, and we had a guy that had come there to work some of his songs and take a little of that Muscle Shoals stuff to the Nashville scene and see how it was accepted. And he wound up going to EMI to plug for them. And he called me one day and said, "I think I can get you a writing deal here." Wow. And so that was the transition. I went from Muscle Shoals to Nashville. They literally, I had avoided Nashville like the plague.
Really?
Because I wasn't a huge fan of some of that. But they put it in my contract, in the script of my contract, that I had to move to Nashville.
Really?
Wow.
Yeah, that's how they got me there. I mean, I was making really good money playing down home in all that region, you know. So it's like, but anyway, they said, "We'll pay you enough, you ain't got to worry about that."
Wow.
So I still played a little, but I really was able to let go of a lot of things and concentrate on writing songs. And so so the songwriting was a big part of helping me get the deal. But man, the politics. Once I got with EMI at the time was the largest publisher of country music and probably lots of other, but in the world, they were number one. And just, you could just feel it in town. If you said, "Yeah, I write for EMI," people are like, "Oh, he writes for EMI," you know. And it was, we were just burning it up, 2 or 3 sessions a day. I mean, Music Row was just on fire. It was the greatest time of my life to enjoy. A movement of music was happening. I mean, unbelievable. But then the politics was all there, and James Stroud and Gary Overton, who ran EMI at the time, had been saying they were going to do some kind of a deal together. And James had just taken over the label at DreamWorks, and he was running that place. So that's how it all happened.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
What a story.
He said Tennessee River Run a while ago. You do a Tennessee River Run every year for your charity.
Yes.
And that goes to St. Jude's.
It goes to a lot of different things, but not you know, what we have done in the last, say, 10 years. I used to say the lion's share of what we raise is split up between a whole bunch of different national charities. But to be perfectly honest, you know, some of those people that we were giving money to, we started looking at the situation going, "No, wait a minute. You know, if we give this to the Cystic Fibrosis Foundation, a certain percentage of what we brought in, how does that work for our people here in our county that have cystic fibrosis?" So we started doing the research. It doesn't work well.
Right.
So if I took $10,000 to them, our guys might see 1,000.
And now y'all do a lot of grants locally.
We take care of our own.
And I think that, especially in today's time, that's what more people are doing. That's what more people need to be focusing on, is take care of your community. And if everybody's taking care of their own community, well, then we're not having to take care of everybody else's community.
Not that we don't reach outside of that.
Right.
We most certainly do.
Sure.
And we support several different national charities. We started a veterans fund a couple of years back. We take care of some families and vets, and you know, I'm in the middle of so many things. I need to talk about, just briefly, we're doing, I got this liquor deal happening right now.
Really?
Yeah.
What you got?
Yeah, it's called, if you want to check it out, you go to DarrylWorleyWhiskey.com.
Okay.
Or you can go to the distillery, which is LeatherwoodDistillery.com.
Okay. I don't guess I need to write this down. It's on camera. Okay.
And those guys approached me about doing since this is the 20th anniversary of 9/11,
right?
And we're working like Have You Forgotten just came out again. It's crazy. I'm like, really? 20th anniversary? Something about that's a big deal. So these guys said, let's do a whole relabeling. We're going to do 2,021 bottles of every liquor we make. So it's several flavored moonshines and then a bourbon and a rye whiskey. The labels are absolutely bad to the bone. You got to go see it, man.
Yeah, we'll go check it out.
It's so they're like 9/11 commemorative labels with my signatures on there, and it's got "Have You Forgotten?" and like on the 9/11 on one label, the two towers is the 11. I mean, it's just really cool stuff.
I happen to know a place where they sell whiskey.
Or they sell bourbon.
Yeah.
I happen to know a place that sells bourbon and would be glad to get the moonshine.
We might need to have some of that here.
I'm telling you right now, I don't drink like I used to, but the whiskey is good. It is good. It's very natural. They do a couple of things that we make whiskey, so I know a good bit about it. As a matter of fact, I took them some of our Shine, and they call that their rum because that's the first thing that comes off, and then they use that to make rye or bourbon, whatever. Right. And so our rums, you put them together side by side, you can't hardly tell the difference. They're like, man, you make good whiskey.
Right.
I was like, y'all do too? So it's been a great, and so it's all veteran owned, the distillery is. These guys,
where's it at?
It's in Pleasant View, Tennessee.
Okay.
Just right outside of Ashland City.
Okay.
Most of the guys that participate in actually making the whiskey are former SF Green Berets,
Wow.
And so the proceeds go to the Charlie Daniels Journey Home Project, the Special Operators Foundation, and Special Forces Association.
Okay.
And what we hope to be able to do is to channel this stuff toward veteran suicide. And I don't know if you guys are aware of it or not. You probably are, but like 22 of our service people are taking their own lives every day in this country.
Wow.
And it's just horrific. So we have a new music project called 22 that's we're about to start releasing stuff off of too. And the title cut 22. I debated on whether to just play it tonight because, but I think I probably won't. It is one of the heaviest songs I've ever recorded, but it has a great triumphant ending. So, but what it is all about is getting the word out there. If that song gets somebody's attention and they go, "Oh my God, is that for real?" Because I think it's so bad that I don't think people are wrapping their head around it.
Right.
If that's not the case, and people in this country have come to a place where they can just walk on by like nothing's happening, that is worse.
We're in a bind.
Yeah,
we're in a major bind.
And I'm not so sure that may not be the case.
Right.
Because this nation has slipped a lot. So
we're fighting an uphill battle, and no doubt. Hopefully, we're getting there.
So I got a bunch of crap going on, man.
You do got a bunch of crap going on.
I just riddled all that off.
Yeah.
That's my new commercial.
I play music. I make whiskey. I have a charity.
I know we got to wrap this up so you can get to work in here, and but I was doing some research earlier. Not research. I typed your name in the Google box and clicked on Wikipedia, and July of 2007, most of you was pretty out there in the world. I saw.
Oh, I know where you're going. Wow.
You don't have
it
to
always comes back. That's what I told my little girl. I said, if you ever knew anything, that you're going to eternally regret, it will never go away.
You do regret it, huh?
I think I regret it now that I'm a father.
Right.
You
were 41 at that point?
43, probably.
43.
Maybe older.
Well, 07? Yeah.
Let's see, I'd have to figure it out.
Well, we're not gonna get into algebra right now. But anyway, you were in your early 40s.
Yeah.
You were in damn good shape.
Oh, I was fit back then, man. I mean, and I did. The cool thing about doing that is that I told him, I said, I need to change up some things for how long you going to give me to because country guys had done it over and over and over.
Right.
They do it every year.
Yeah.
But I said, I ain't going to be in it if I'm just going to take my shirt off. I said, and let's get it out there. I didn't unveil the unit. I promised my mother I wouldn't.
Right.
She thought I was crazy anyway. But I said, we were kind of between albums. We didn't have a lot going on. And my manager said, nobody.
How does that call go down? Hey, Darryl.
Okay, so I had a male and a female management team.
Okay.
Male was completely against it.
Right.
And I would have been right there with him had I known a lot of things about the whole publication that I didn't know then that I do know now.
Right.
Anyway.
And if you'd have known the internet was going to be so prevalent to where you
Well,
could...
it's like, now if you spell my name right, that's the first damn thing that pops up. And
Right.
people are
Right.
like, well, are you in like a nude magazine? I'm like, oh, God, we have to talk about
Here
this.
we go again.
It's some dude on the radio in Alaska the other day. That's the first thing he asked me, and I went, "Hey,
We waited.
I got
till
some
the
hit
last.
songs."
We put it at the end,
Yeah.
We got the
That way
important
we can
stuff.
I
get it
don't
out.
care. It's it ain't like the end of the world. I just my daughter, she's been kind of bouncing around it, and I know it's coming. She don't know how to
How old is she
approach
now?
me about it, and she hasn't said anything to her mom. That's the funny part. But it's gonna come out, and how do you tell your daughter? You preach to them about things, and you say, I'll come and get you and skin you alive if you do this, and then she finds out, that you. God, it's just.
Yeah. No, I mean...
You
I-
live
It's
and
gonna be
learn.
it's
'Cause
gonna be
I
an
was-
uncomfortable conversation.
Yeah, when it pops up on Wikipedia, and I went, I'm reading the stuff, and July of 2007, you're married. I mean, July 2007, you got the whole Playgirl thing, and then all of a sudden it's December. I was like, I don't think that works the other way around. He ain't doing that 6 months before he gets married. It's
Hey.
it's just not gonna work.
She was right there, like holding the things for the shadowing and the lights
Right.
and stuff. She was all about it. She
That-
said the same thing my manager said. She said, you got tons and tons and tons of guy fans. They love what you have to say. They love what your songs say. The women don't know who you are. We need to strike a chord.
Valid point. I mean,
And she goes, and plus you're looking at about possibly $1 million in free publicity. We did it. We paid a company like $2,500 to do a study, and they said we got over $900,000 of free publicity.
publicity
out of it.
out of that.
People on radio stations and TV shows that would never have talked to me were all about
We're
it.
all about calling.
Come on in.
Oh, yeah.
I
Have a
gotta
seat.
talk. Leave your shirt at the door. Come on in here and sit down. Let's talk.
That's funny.
No.
So
that's
we
cool.
had fun with it, but it was it didn't take too many years, and then my daughter was born. I'm like, okay, how am I going to explain this?
Right.
How old is your daughter?
She's 13 now.
13.
13.
She'll probably see this freaking thing. Anyway.
Well,
Sorry.
we can keep all that.
No,
out of it.
it's all good.
The kids
No.
in YouTube, they're all about it.
Dude, it's coming, She's sharp.
Yeah.
and
And,
she could take a cell phone and shut down the airport, so she's gonna
Yeah.
she's gonna find it.
That or she found it and she just was like,
Well, she's pretty sharp. She hadn't said any. Well, her mother says that she hasn't said anything to her about it yet, but they could both be messing with me too.
that or
True.
she just looked at it and went, all right, I don't want to have that conversation either.
Maybe.
It just kind of moved on. With
She
it,
might have
you
said
know?
she might have had something in her mind that said that's not my dad.
Right. Yeah, that
He's
didn't
got
happen.
long hair.
That really didn't happen.
But what's going to happen is some of that there's some girls back home that are her age, and she's starting to hang out with them, and I know they're going to say, hey, have you seen this?
Have you seen
Yeah,
your daddy?
that's definitely gonna happen.
He's your daddy.
Yeah, that's definitely gonna happen.
No, I know.
Oh, man.
Well, we I guess
I'd
we'll
say
wrap
we
it up.
covered and uncovered
Yeah.
it all.
I covered and uncovered.
Hey guys, thank y'all for listening. Thank you for watching. Make sure to share, subscribe, leave us a comment, tell us what you thought about the video. From Jacob, Darryl, and Tony, we appreciate it. Y'all have a good day. See you next time.
Bye bye.
Thank y'all.